Okay. Uh, this is another video, um, which is what I'm gonna do till I can't. I think it's important for me to, while able to, make videos and put reality back in the universe. In the sense of, I make my videos for target individual to understand what's happening, to never identify with this manipulation, and also I know this perps, these low life bottom feeders are contracted by these governmental entities to implement these tactics. They're clowns. Some of them are fucking childlike trash. Just chill, fucking clowns. I don't even want to call them kids. Retards of all sorts. Sorry for the language I'm using, but it is agitating. But I put that in their face so bad. So bad. I make sure that they don't even escape. They better use the most childlike individual possible, the most retarded you can imagine, to agitate me. While I'm here bringing up a whole bill created because there's so much child pumping done by governmental entities that are the same entities that came up with this technology. I want to make sure that they sell the soul. These clowns enjoy it. The more childlike they are, the more the more childlike they can be. But for me, I'll put that in their fucking face. They have manipulated my brain so bad that everything possible they try to rewire in different ways. Then they use clowns. They are the illusory of human beings. At this point, it's not even trying to be aggressive toward them. I just want to take pictures of them so I can present how they look. Because really, putting a face to how some of these perps can be, put things in perspective very easily. This trash and low life. And I pray that this grown childlike trash that they are live a long life of doing that. I don't think they're gonna make it to my age. That's what I say. I'm calling that's my prediction, that they are not gonna make it to my age. I went in the hallways and throwing some trash away. I made sure my door was open so they can clearly hear the issue that they want to block out, to counter. There's been clear validation that the Department of Defense has been having issue with pedophilia. This is not conspiracy theories, it's reality. In 2019, a bill was introduced called End National Defense Network Abuse Act. This bill was created because the prior year, in 2018, there was a child protective service specific for online child protective service that started ranking networks in the United States based on the amount of child porn the network is being used to download, access child pornography. Trying to counter that, but thank you God. The level of how comicalness this whole thing is just magical. It's like it's just magical things. The way they try to gaslight me to counter the fact that they were ranked, these entities were ranked for top tier trafficking and accessing of child porn using DoD network. It's just something just magical. I pray they live this low lifeness for as long as they can. And they know that at this point, and can you imagine people try to gaslight you that you don't even respect in the first place? It's already bad enough that I don't respect you, but now you try to gaslight me on this level of fucking retardation, which adds to everything else. That's why I look forward to seeing them. Things have I'm not even fazed by it. For example, like, oh, our pedos. Like, oh God, it's so magical. Thank you, because you know who's your pedos. There's a whole bill for it. There's a whole bill because this trash here doing these things to me are just doing that because they participate in this program that these entities full of pedos are implementing onto us. And they use childlike people. I wish I could get more pictures of these people. But that's enough what I have here. You know, it's enough of a concept. Because you have purpose like that. It's illusory of human beings. And I wish I had more than just these people. They come in all shape and form, but this were just it was just too good of like a perfect picture. Like when they look at their phone and everything else, that's when it's supposed to be like analyzing you. It's like, I don't know. But they come in all shape or form. There's another one there, the creepy ass guy, but they are so like, ugh. Right? And they're like, oh, happy. I was like, you're such a clown. To see a grown ass, not even grown, some of them are just children, but to see illusory of that kind in the flesh is magical. Like I said, the entities they work for, the entities that empower this low life, are so pedophilia. They're so filled with pedophiles that a bill was prompted in 2019, not too long ago, 2019. I remember when this whole thing started with me, V2K. It was in 2019. During the same time, a bill was introduced because the prior year, they keep being recognized as being top-tier network for downloading child porn using DoD computers. This is so nasty. So I make sure that I know, it's like, first of all, look at who's the real pedos, you dumbass shit. And I'm glad that this is out there for all of us to see. Target individual, for some reason, as bad as things are going to be to me, and it already is for me, this trash could not escape the reality of what they're part of. You see this video about 4. This trash have been trying to make it seem like we are benching 4. Every time I see 4, there's 4 this and 4. You know, and 4 is a common number, right? So you're gonna hear it a lot everywhere. You won't say, in 4 minutes I'll be there. Like, it's 4 is like 4 or 5. Like, that's like numbers that you can see often. So they try, first of all, to create a stimuli of 4. And then so every time I hear 4, I see 4 o'clock, 4:44. They try to like even time things in that way. It's like, oh, pay. Because what they're trying to do is bring back to me as a middle school child, right? Let me just, and I love to put that in their face, because the reality of what they're part of, I just love to just woo in their face. What I did as a child here is what they try to bring up. And they try to frustrate me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to bring 4. At this age, I did some stuff, this damn thing that they try to exaggerate. They try to make it seem like, no, you did. They try to exaggerate what I did as a child. Now, it was inappropriate, but that's what a child is capable of doing. Now, listen, I'm wasting my energy talking to people who torture children. They're making me itch right now to disorient me. I'm talking to people who literally are torturing children as young as 3-week-old. Awkwardly enough, there's even testimonials of a woman who literally say they're torturing this 4-year-old with Down syndrome. This is not uncommon. They torture a whole family. Even today, if I start looking for more testimonials, I'll see the whole family, mother and the young children being tortured. One way or another. Radiation, so all kinds of nasty things. Right? They want to box that out. And I will not let this shit escape. Because they truly are involved in a program where they're torturing 4-year-old. So as they make me look at 4, it's like, now you pay. It's like, no, trash. Now I bring up the fact that this is what you could do to children in the program that you're involved in. As you try to talk about me paying at this age, the reality is you're trying to block out what you do to children. There's one trash of a guy. He's so disgusting to me. He's the most disgusting. Because he's trying to sound sensible. No, we torture abuser. I'm like, yuck, you fucking nasty low life. Because the truth is, he's in a program that abuses children. Not even abuse, torture children. Atrocities. Harming children in so many ways. And he just have this like sensible voice. He's like, you're a disgusting, creepy fucking low life. because I know what you guys do to children. And there's nothing worse to try to sound sensible while involved in a program that literally torture children. I prefer those people who's like, so what? I don't give a shit about these kids. Who burn them will like you burn you. Like, I respect somebody who owns up to that level more than somebody's like, no, we have avenging. Involved in a program where they're clearly torturing children. It's so disgusting. For me, it's just trying to calm myself down when I get to see them. As I'm saying that they try to create some things. And try to block out the reality of this.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. And this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience...
That's the 7-year-old kid. 7-year-old kid with autism. You know what they try to do to counter that? Oh, we did this. I'm like, no. You just did involve yourself in a program that tortured children in this fashion, you piece of shit.
Extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. And I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her...
Let me just bring up a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome. This trash say, now you pay, are connected to programs, to a governmental-led program that torture children. This is not only a 4-year-old, it's a 4-year-old with Down syndrome. And of course, they're all ages. I'm just bringing 4 because I'm supposed to look at 4. That I pay now, and they give me stimulation sensations. Oh, you see we mapped it. That piece of shit. They involved in a program that torture children. Listen, I don't care if they ever torture or partake in the torture of children. They are very much aware that what they in is torturing children. They just try to normalize it. It's like, oh, so unfortunate to torture children. As if like it's just the norm, like people torturing children every day. As if burning or doing this.
5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, ow. I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions.
So the way they can harm people is not like somebody's there physically harming these kids. This technology that is destroying my organs is the same technology harming these kids. What's happening and the reality of things, as much as they try to be like, nah, you pay, they're not this retarded. The truth is, they are participating in a program that is developing weapon system of the 21st century. Some of the most sophisticated technology you can imagine that attacks the body and the mind. Psychologically, I'm being rewired in disgusting ways. But physically, they can harm your body and feel pain wherever they want. Organs, they can destroy your organs, they can destroy your bones, but they can also harm your genitals. They do that a lot. They're using this weapon system to hurt children in sexual matters. So what this woman is describing is a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old with Down syndrome being hit with this technology, and they're targeting the private part to harm them. I know they're involved in this. I know this is the program they're part of. I'd rather rat away than being a rotten piece of shit involved in a program that does that to children. To hear a fucking lowlife say, now we abuse pedophiles. First of all, these people work for governmental entities where there's a problem with pedophilia. What they do to children, the atrocities that you just heard, is so nasty. Can you imagine harming children or being involved in something that tortures children in these ways? They are connected to this. I hear these testimonials. I know all these people next door to you making this noise campaign, all this trash over there saying, try to disorient you. They are involved in this. I know that some of them have partake in the harming of women and children because they are using human beings as test subject. They don't just harm them for the fun of it, just like for me. It's not just for the fun. They might enjoy it, but it's not for the fun. This millions of dollars and whatever amount is that this technology costs in the labor of these lowlifes. It's because there's a purpose behind it. A sadistic purpose, but there's a purpose. The purpose is to develop the technology. What they need is men, women, and children of all ages, all races, in all experiences to see how the technology can be applied in an efficient way. So it's so nasty. I'd rather die away saying these words than live life countering what I'm saying, because they're gonna get theirs. That's why when I see them, it's like, please don't do this game in front of me, because I know who you're involved in. I know what you're involved in. I know who you're harming to. I know you abuse children using this technology. You're just trying to use me as a child to counter the reality and paint this psyop, this facade that you wanted to paint. I get it. I see you fully for what you're part of. Of course, I know these people are grown-ass people. Some of them, none of them are this retarded. They're grown people. They're like, they think the threat is a child, like a dumbass kid doing some dumb thing. No. They're actually literally working for governmental entities where there's consistent issue of pedophilia. They're involved in a program that literally harming the private part of children. You think I don't know, they know like reality? No. They're just countering it to enjoy what this technology can do. We are controlled, manipulated in ways that is so. We're talking about 21st century weapon system that can do so much to you. And they want to enjoy this, they want to partake in this, but they create fantasy of what this is about to stay in character. I refuse to give them that fantasy. So every time they're like, I look at four, instead of like, I'm not gonna think about the 4-year-old with Down syndrome who was being tortured sexually. Fucking clowns. And then they use this retard to try to find ways to agitate me and disorient me. And they use childlike people. You know how empowered they feel? I'm sure it's intoxicating to be able to do these things to a human being and doing that remotely. They try to sound mysticful when you know it's just some illusory of a human being. And they tell me how I'm going to be serving because they're going to frame me. Listen to how trashy they are as human beings. I know they try to be cool about it. They tell me how they're going to frame me because they're going to use their kids to say I raped them. That's trash.com. There's some things that never comes back from. That's why I say these kids are not going to make it too long in life. Today, they love it. They made them believe that they're some kind of like special heroes for doing that. It's so nasty. But the truth is, they know that these kids are not going to do good. But I'm going to be their prophet because now they made me a prophet. Just like, it's just that simple. So you have trash involved in a program that torture children, working for governmental entities that have an issue with pedophilia. Try to play this fantasized reality where there's some kind of Avengers and trash. And every time I see 4, I'm supposed to be like, I remember what you did as a kid. When I know damn well they torture children. You heard a 4-year-old, but this 3-year-old, you're going to hear 3-week-olds, this kids of all ages, torture. And they're involved in that. But I'm supposed to look at 4, pay now. Shut up, trash ass. I was throwing the trash. And I was making sure the door is open. You can clearly hear this. This.
Yeah.
a certain amount of limitation on access. Those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this, it shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So, Congresswoman Abigail, to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent, to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers.
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step...
So imagine this is truth. That's what's happening in these agencies, in these entities. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a bill that you can look up right now on Google called End National Defense Network Abuse. That's because of that issue. It's crazy. This is not like things that you think, when this conspiracy theories about, there's a bunch of pedophiles and they do this. No, the Department of Defense has a lot of problem with pedophilia. They were ranked for having some of the most child porn downloaded and access and traffic using DoD computers and DoD network. A bill was created to try to limit the amount of that happening because there was so much of it. That is this is crazy. They're using, even regular corporates have easy ways to just block this. They are letting that happen because they're so nasty. But I'm putting that in the hallways. I'm listening to that, not in the hallways, but I open the door and I'm throwing the trash, but making sure the door is open because this trash living around me are perps. There's a lot of perps living around me and participating in that. I'm not going to give you that. Never. And before I get to the manipulation of my mind, and you're going to hear, it's so nasty. I'm throwing the trash, and the trash hit my private parts as I'm throwing things in the trash. Immediately they give me stimulation and try to make me think, no, but I remember what you did as a kid. And like, what the hell? It's like, we mapped it. I paid. To try to counter the reality that they're trying to escape from. It is so nasty. So, today, what's happening? To make themselves they create this fantasized reality where they're the one protecting kids, but they're forcing me to have disgusting thoughts, and then like, pay. Like they're redesigning reality to the point where they force the target individual to have this nasty reaction, this nasty stimulation, this disturbing pedophilia thought process, and then act like they are here protecting. It's so disgusting. They redesign reality the way they wish reality was, making themselves be the protector of children and make a target individual be the one who's a threat to children, by forcing that person to have these reactions and stimulations and sensation and thought process toward these babies. And for me, they do that, they're like, now we mapped it to you as a kid. Pay. They torture babies as young as 4-year-old. Your brain is just rewired. And they try to find ways to make you accepting of this. It's just so nasty. And they're making it hard for me to speak, but it's okay. If those are my last words, I'll make sure that I say it clearly. What's happening to my thought process is this. I am a test subject, and there's a lot of us that are being manipulated in disturbing ways.
Citizens being controlled by government unsanctioned experiments? Is Cheryl Welsh telling the truth, or are her claims absurd? Just another conspiracy theory that's impossible to prove. Maybe. But not if you listen to Nick Begich.
I think there's some good evidence that Cheryl Welsh and many of the other people I've spoken with have been victimized by this electromagnetic mind control experience. The weapons of this century aren't bombs and bullets and ordnance, but electromagnetic energy targeting the human being, which is the greatest revolution in military affairs since gunpowder.
Begich is an expert in government mind control. He is convinced the Pentagon has mastered a technology once thought to be science fiction. The ability to broadcast information directly into the human brain.
Our government began spending a lot of time looking at how to modify behaviors of human beings. Going back to the Korean War, in fact, in a publication, Low Intensity Conflict in Modern Technology, they have a chapter on electromagnetic weapon systems and being able to not just to debilitate someone, but actually even to stimulate certain activities within the brain.
But how?
HARP is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which started as a joint effort of the Air Force and Navy. This is a very large array or field of antennas based in Alaska, radio frequency antennas.
HARP antennas transmit powerful radio signals into the upper atmosphere to study the effects on wireless communications. But Begich says HARP can also be used for more sinister ends.
HARP has announced several other programs and campaigns, and there's two areas that I got very concerned about. One was weather modification applications. The other was the effect on human beings. If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response, the brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just be about triggering emotions. You can change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts and being able to manipulate those, that requires much a different kind of sophistication.
Can we hear sounds?
So that's what's happening. My brain is being altered in ways that just disturbs me, and it's been done the same way to others. And these governmental entities that happen to have this issue with child porn have been working on this technology since the 60s to alter the brain, to change the brain, to make somebody experience something else, to control the brain. That's what this is really about. And you have this illusory of trash that you see around you to try to counter that. I'm not gonna give them any fantasy, and I'm not gonna let them escape, because this is what's happening, and it's clear. It's been happening for years.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day. Human mind can be altered.
They've been working on altering the mind since the 60s. And DARPA, which also is one of the agencies that had issues with child porn under the DoD. The reason why they prompted this bill. So nasty. They really, for the Project Flickr thing, they called out DARPA specifically, finding out there's some kind of project manager there. This is part of the ecosystem. It's supposed to counter reality. There's a project manager there which they caught his computer having child porn on. It's so nasty. But I put that in their faces, and the reality is they've been working on technology that can alter the mind since the 60s. And And today what's happening is this.
That can pipe voices into an individual's head. And once you can do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. Do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define the probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control the brain? Most people don't believe that. Well, you can't control me. I have my own.
That's why they torture children, that's why they torture women, that's why they torture men. They are altering our mind, they're doing things to our bodies. And this is the new weapon system, as this man is talking about it, of the 21st century. And regardless of the retardation that surrounds you, of people who try to disorient you, this is what's really happening, and what's the reason behind what's happening to you.
Not to mention everything else that we've done. So the human body couples with external fields of all kinds. For radio frequency, you can look at the Radio Frequency Dosimetry Handbook, 1986, University of Utah, produced for the Air Force. It gives you the resonant frequencies for each vital organ so that you can send in a radio signal that will couple with the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, and cause it to malfunction so that you can degrade the performance of your adversary. The new weapon systems being developed today will attack the mind, the body, and our physiology on an energetic level. Not with bullets and bombs. It's a perfect Republican weapon. No offense to Republicans here, but you don't want to destroy the property. You have to rebuild it afterwards. This is a weapon systems of the 21st century.
We will attack the mind and the body physiologically using energetic level weaponry. That's what's happening to us. That's why this 4-year-old is grabbing their private parts as they try to create some disgusting things. It's because something is harming her using this weapon system that can harm the body, the mind. The mind is, they alter the mind in this way, but they can literally physiologically harm you to make you feel pain in a private part. To feel pain because they're doing things to you. They can burn you remotely. It's so nasty. For me, I also deal with the psychological. By the way, that's the same man that you hear talking. He's the same one talking about how he's talking about HARP. And the Department of Defense have worked on technology to alter the mind since the Korean War. And explaining that if you can mimic a signal of an individual, the device then that's mimicking can capture the signal, and now your brain is going to mirror whatever the device's frequency is going through. That's how they control you to have the experience they want you to have. This is how this man explained how the mind is being manipulated and how you can be forced to have these stimulations.
Designed to interact with the human nervous system in order to remotely pick up on someone's neural network or EEG, and not only receive that and monitor it, but manipulate it and place it back into the victim to control their emotions or control their actions or bodily functions for that matter. The other more recent term we have for that is EEG heterodyning or EEG cloning. The difference between EEG heterodyning and EEG cloning would be, let's say me remotely receiving your EEG and then duplicating it and putting that in another person to give them your same thoughts or feelings or physical reactions. EEG heterodyning would be receiving your EEG, manipulating it to put it back inside your head to give us a desired physical reaction or emotional reaction.
And that's the reaction they make me have toward children, to break me down. Then this purpose. Look at that phone, as if it validates them that I'm not being manipulated, or to gaslight me to like, oh, I just saw how you reacted. This stimulation. Because what's happening is I'm being altered. My brain is being manipulated. And as these people describe it,
you might guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's off. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare, exactly, it's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds,
personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, okay, so
alter the mind, personality, rebuild. They were creating a personality and they're altering your mind. In my brain, like we're rebuilding your brain to your trash, retardation. And the manipulations consist to be this type. As you can see, the saliva is because they're hitting my organs to the point where I'm salivating so much.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of it. This disgusting thing.
Follow pedophilia.
You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even...
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds, and vice versa.
Form of torture. They coordinate the voices. I really mean extreme. I experienced an entire night with forced spontaneous orgasm. It's what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat.
So they clearly do the pedophilia type of torture. Excuse me, I'm going to have to speak because I'm just losing too much saliva. They clearly do the pedophilia type of torture, and it's obvious. With me, they do that and they're like, and try to make me think, now you pay for what you did as a kid. Matter of fact, now when I seen the number 4, like, now pay. Remember what you did when you were in middle school? At that age. Try to exaggerate what I did to make themselves believe that they are truly avengers. They're truly protecting children at this age. Well, they don't want me to think of what they do to children. And you hear the noise campaign, he's trying to disorient me because this is what they do to kids.
Syndrome. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, ow.
And of course, there's more testimonials of like different kids of different ages being tortured. But for the purpose of 4. And then they do this pedophilia type of torture and then try to make you acceptive of it. Well, whatever it means. For me, it's like, no, but remember what you did. We mapped it to you as a kid. It's your pedophilia as you. Like, no, you're altering my brain to make me experience this. However way you rewire my brain. You put stimulation, sensations, imaginations of all sorts to try to make me acceptive of how, to make me experience this. You are changing who I am as a being, altering who I am, which is what you've done to others. As this man describes in his testimonial on how this mental torture was applied on him.
Able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
Then you have these clowns, this, like I said, childlike retards. So now we're exposed to you. And they have the same tactics of creating a facade and psyop.
We're going until you're saying we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government.
A massive government that has issue with child porn and pedophilia. And you have these retards that now we expose you because they made you imagine these things with this stimulation and sensation all rewired while they're working for government entities that's been exposed for having issue with child porn. I would die in hell. Now I will never identify with this manipulation. And when I see 4 now, think about the 4-year-old kid with Down syndrome being sexually tortured using this energetic weapon. Target major, stay strong.